Hello, teacher and classmates of the course Teaching English to Adolescents and Adults. My name is Jose Norman Abreu, and in this video I'm going to explain the materials I have designed to explain the simple past tense form of regular verbs, irregular verbs, and the to-be verb. So for the warm-up activity, I am going to work on the blackboard, reminding students of the rules for conjugating regular verbs in their present tense form, so that will prepare them for the subject of this activity, which is the simple past tense form of verbs. Then on the blackboard, I will provide sample sentences using regular verbs in their past tense form, in their simple past tense form. I will explain the affirmative form, the negative form, and the interrogative form. Then I'll move on to explaining irregular verbs in their past tense form and the to-be verb for each pronoun. Once we develop this activity, I've designed an activity for the practice stage of the lesson. For this activity, I have designed a set of drawings. Each drawing represents a regular or irregular verb. For instance, we see someone here writing, so the verb it's representing is to write. Or we see a couple dancing, so the verb that is being represented here is the verb to dance. In this list, we see all different kinds of verbs, regular and irregular verbs. I'm going to show it again. So they're very descriptive. However, the teacher will assist the students in any doubt they have, or if they have any problem understanding the activity. This activity will be developed in class, so they have the support of the teacher. In this second paper, we have I designed a list of printed verbs that correspond to the drawings of the paper that I just showed to you. So in this list of printed verbs, the student will have to for instance, we have the verb to take. So the student will have to write down in the blank space below the verb, the student will have to write down the simple past tense form of that verb. And below that line, we see another line asking for the meaning of the verb. So the student will have to write down the past tense form of the verb and its corresponding meaning. Once the student fills in these printed verbs with its past tense form and meaning, the student will have to cut out each printed verb following the blue lines, in the same way they cut out the drawings on the former piece of paper. So for instance, the student cut out a drawing like this depicting the verb to talk. They have to match the drawing with its corresponding printed verb. So the student will have to paste this printed verb to the back of the drawing in order to make little cards or little squares that they can use to practice their verbs, their meaning, and their past and their simple past tense form. So this is the printed activity that I've designed for this activity. For the production activity, I've designed, as we can see here, there is the list of drawings that I've designed and the list of printed verbs. For the production activity, I've designed a simple past tense reading. The student will have to read it and develop a set of activities based on the reading. So for the first activity, students will have to identify and write down a list of regular verbs using this chart. So the students will fill in this chart. They will fill up this chart with all the regular verbs they find within the text. They will have to write down the infinitive form and the meaning of each verb. So the verbs they will find in the reading are written in the simple past tense form. Then they will have to provide two sample sentences using the negative and the affirmative form of the verbs in the simple past tense form. And then they will have to do something similar with each irregular verb they find on the reading. They can use the dictionary to develop this activity. They also have to provide sample sentences, and in the activity 2 they have to explain the different forms of the verb to be and the pronouns to which each form applies. So for instance, the form was, which is one of the forms that the verb to be takes for the simple past tense, the pronouns would be I, he, she, and it. I included 3 rows even though there are only 2 forms of the verb to be. This is in order to avoid giving the students clues about the answers. They also have to provide 2 sample sentences in the affirmative and negative way. On each line they have to write the sentence using the to be verb in its past tense in the affirmative way, and in front of them the same sentence in its negative way, in its negative form. And in the final activity they have to write down with simple sentences and using verbs in the simple past tense form. They have to describe all the things they did in their last vacations. For the assessment activity, I've designed a little quiz with fill in the blank questions, and in the first activity they have to conjugate verbs in the past tense form in the affirmative form. Then they have to use the negative form, and later they have to write down the verbs in the interrogative form. Then they have to fill in the blanks for the to be verb in its simple past tense form using was or were in each case. Then they have to read a little text, a very short text about vacations in Nice, about a family taking vacations in Nice. And they have to answer to 3 simple questions about the reading. And for the homework activity, I've designed a crossword puzzle in which students have to complete, and they all are made out of regular and irregular verbs in their simple past tense form. The cues are written down in Spanish so the students can easily understand or identify the verbs. They can also use the dictionary. So in order to effectively teach the students about the simple past tense of regular and irregular verbs, I decided to design different activities, one including a game, a set of drawings, which is very dynamic, it can provide really meaningful learning, because students have images, have a visual element to help them understand the verbs and to make a mental link between the images and the verbs. And they also have to read a lot to understand the verbs, to fill in blanks, and to resolve crossword puzzles, which I think are also fun activities that students can use to learn the simple past tense of verbs. So this is my video. Thank you so much for watching it, and every comment or feedback about it is welcome. Thank you so much. Good night.